Howdy. What you're looking at here, among other bunches of junk, by the way, we're out in my shop, which is unheated, is cold as can be, and it's a terrible place to hang out. But anyway, that right there, oh, come on, thing. There. That thing right there is an old World War II grenade ammo box. I have one, two, three, four of them that I use for, well, holding various things. That one contains a combination of loaded G3 and Set-Me magazines. It weighs a ton, but it's it's loaded with them. Why am I mentioning this? That's because I own these, and I have owned these for many years. Today is December 9th, 2022, and I had forgotten about this until somebody mentioned this in reference to Measure 114. Fortunately, it is under a court-imposed halt to being used or being implemented right now. Supreme Court, Oregon Supreme Court. So because of that, I'm not going to be subject to it, and I think that these are covered by the previously owned, quote, loophole, end quote. There's no way in heck in a couple of weeks that I could have ordered this many magazines, and I'm certainly not this rich. I'll explain about where they came from in a minute, but I just wanted to show these as an example of the ludicrousness of an anti-gun law, and the fact that if I do not make a post that shows that I own these, I might be subject to confiscation because I can't prove that I had these for many years. I certainly don't have the receipt, but I think the timestamp provided by YouTube, by Google, would be sufficient because, I mean, they're a mega corporation, I'm just a little guy, and they know how to do that stuff, and I really don't. But so they can claim I'm a super uber nerd if they want. Well, I am about guns, but not so much about online stuff. Howdy. Let me tell you a tale. World War II, there was a little company called Mauserwerks, and Mauserwerks was making all sorts of goodies for Nazi Germany. Well, near the end of the war, Mauserwerks was about to be overrun by the Allies, so they commissioned a train that filled full of fittings, materials, plans, tooling, stuff related to the various weapons they were working on, and all of their technicians and lead engineers loaded in a train and started heading towards the mountains of Bavaria to make a last stand to the planned fortress of Germany. Well, the train didn't get that far. It sort of stalled out. They ran out of fuel. They ran out of track they could go on. There's a whole tale about that. If you watch Ian McCollum, he discusses it with another scholar. The Allies captured that train and all personnel. Well, there is a research document that deals with that, and this is it. This is a discussion of all the goodies that were on that train. Well, one thing that was on that train was an engineer named Ludwig Vorgrimler, I think is his last name. Vorgrimler, Ludwig Vorgrim, whatever, that German guy. Anyway, he was captured, sent to a Nazi internment camp for a brief time till he was debriefed. He ended up under the control of the French, and they took him off to Paris, where he worked with the Saint-Étienne arsenal for a while in development work. And they had their own ideas, and he had his ideas, and they didn't really mesh. So he got an offer for a commission to go down to Spain and do some work for them, and he did. And they liked it a lot, and he was working for a company down there, the name of which, excuse me just a minute, because I've got to go look it up, and I don't remember Spanish too well, even though I do know a little Spanish, but this name is something it's called the Centro de Estudios Técnicos de Materiales Especiales, or Center for Technical Studies of Special Materials. And the acronym for that company was SETME. Why that? Because that was the name of the rifle he developed. And if you look down here, oh, come on now, machine, do what you're told. I think that'll do her. This is a SETME. Not the original, because the original was a select fire. This receiver was made in the U.S., and the rest is a Spanish parts kit that's put together and built this thing. And it's a really cool little rifle. The only difference from the original is I put this Picatinny rail on it. But other than that, it's all stock. The SETME is known for a couple of things. For one, it comes down with, the takedown on one involves these pins right here. And that German guy, after he worked for a while for Spain and developed this, he then went along to back to Germany, West Germany, and he founded a company with some financiers called Heckler & Koch. And at Heckler & Koch, he developed many rifles and submachine guns and the like, all of which were really good sellers, and used this system. It's called a roller delayed blowback system, and it's an interesting system. And considering that this is developed for 7.62 by 51, or 308, or 7.62 NATO, and it packs quite a wallop. So having something that is not really gas locked or otherwise locked, that is just a blowback, basically a delayed blowback system that handles that pressure, is amazing. Well, anyway, the SETME works on the same principle as a G3, because this was, at birth, a G3. And the Heckler & Koch G3 magazines will fit a SETME, or vice versa. They're interchangeable. But this is the cocking lever, and I'll show you something. Oh, gosh. I'll cock it. There, it's cocked. You may have heard of the G3 slap. That's it. And this thing was where it was first developed. So this is the grandfather of the G3. The great-grandfather was a assault rifle that was developed for the Nazis. I forget if it was the AGSG 43 or 44. I forget the designation, but it was an assault rifle. But this is not, quote, an assault rifle, end quote, in modern parlance. What this is what it was. This and the FN-FAL, the M14, and a few others are the rifles that were from the Cold War. This is a Cold War battle rifle. It was developed mainly for that very purpose. You would see these, or the G3 variants of these, all over Angola, Central African Republic, the Belgian Congo, all through that area. I forget if it was FALs or this that 5 Commando carried, but whichever it was, the other side was using the other one. You'll find pictures all through the 1950s and 60s of fellows running around with these kind of rifles, shooting at each other. Some very good movies on that subject and some very good books. Incidentally, if you're interested in Mauser Works, the G3, the SETME, or any of that stuff, this is the book to get. It's called Gun Research Declassified, Visit to Mauser Works. And it's got some military designations on it. And I'll try and leave a link on the in the description on this video. But this work here is on that very subject, and it's a really detailed military document. It was put together by military researchers right after World War II, and right at the end of World War II and after. And this details all of the different things they found on the train, and designs that some of which have been used since, and some of which have still been sat on for years. But this was classified for years and years. Finally came out in a Freedom of Information thing, and here it is. Anyway, as I was saying at the beginning of this, The state of Oregon passed Measure 114, and that forced my hand. I must show that I hold this thing, and I have held it for a number of years. I got this, oh gosh, it was owned by a cousin of mine, and then a friend of his, and then a friend of his, and it was put together. I mean, it was just a parts kit, and then they finally got the receiver that they could hook it to, and one of them, I don't remember which, finally put it all together. And this was before they passed the law that says that you must go through an FFL every time you change a gun around. This was sort of a family transfer. I paid off the one guy for one of the parts and paid off the other so that my cousin was out of hock, and I ended up with a gun and all of the accessories that came with it. And you saw earlier the accessories, which includes a bunch of magazines. I'm certainly not going to go to war with this thing. I have it because I basically have my own little private museum here, and one of the things that I focus on are rifles of the Cold War. I have a number of them, all of them semi-automatic. I don't have any select fire. I don't have a Class 3 license. I don't even have a CNR, but I'm thinking of getting one just so that I can get guns in the state, because it's getting impossible to get a gun in this state of any kind. And what I really like are curios and relic. They're just, if you've looked at any of my videos, you notice that I have a whole bunch of them. I find the whole area of curios and relic an interesting and often overlooked part of the firearms study. Anyway, today, as I said, is December 9th, 2022, and before they impose their draconian Gestapo rules, I want to make sure that the guns I do have are covered under the loophole, if you will, of being pre-owned before this thing went into effect. I have not purchased anything like this this thing I've had for at least 2 years. 3 years? No? God, I'm getting old. It's been about 7 years since I picked this up. 7 years. And it's just, at least I have this part for 7 years. Some of the other pieces I picked up from various people a little later. So anyway, it be mine, and just letting the any powers that be know, they can look at the date timestamp that YouTube puts on this, because I can't do that, but YouTube can do it and do it well, and that should be admissible as evidence that I own this right now. So there.